Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to answer the number one question that you want to know, and that is, will the Blackrock Bitcoin ETF get approved? A lot of people are wondering this. There's really two schools of thought out there. There's one camp that says absolutely it's going to happen. We're going to discuss why some of them feel that way in this video. There's another camp that says it's not going to happen, and they believe that there's going to be a last minute upset for all the Bitcoin ETFs. I'm going to share with you my thoughts, ladies and gentlemen. This is Crypto Wealth. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for watching my channel. I'm going to tell you my exact thoughts on why I believe a Bitcoin ETF will either get approved or not get approved. But before I get into that, let's go ahead and take a look at, sort of what's been going on. Why is it some people are saying this is not going to happen? There is absolutely going to be no approval whatsoever. Here's a news story that's recently come out where the SEC denied Coinbase's push for crypto regulations. They said that their push for clarifying regulations was unwarranted. So think about this for a moment. So the SEC is suing Coinbase, and the SEC is saying that, hey, you guys are selling unregistered securities and all this nonsense. And Coinbase is saying, okay, well then give us clear guidance. Give us some rules. Let us know what we need to do. And the U.S. Exchange has, right here in this article, the U.S. Exchange has formally petitioned the agency to start writing comprehensive crypto rules. But after careful consideration, the SEC said no. Now, this is going to play into the BlackRock question here in a moment, but let's just look at this a little bit further. Coinbase has been waiting since 2022 for a response from the Securities and Exchange Commission on its formal petition to request tailored regulations for crypto, even seeking to force an answer through the courts, and the rejection has now arrived. So what's amazing about this is in the past, Gary Gensler, the commissioner of the SEC, has said these crypto exchanges don't need to be selling unregistered securities. They just need to get registered. Coinbase has said in the past, we try to get registered and we hit a brick wall. And this is where they're basically pushing their point. We just want clarity. Just tell us what we can and cannot do. It says right here that the SEC says there's no reason to craft a new regime for crypto, and that it's already writing some targeted crypto rules, conducting enforcement actions under existing authorities, though 2 of the 5 commissioners disagreed. Coinbase said it'll take the matter back to court. Okay, so we know that the SEC is not giving any sort of regulations for crypto, but this is the same organization that is supposed to be giving approvals among BlackRock's Bitcoin ETF and other companies. Now let's take a look, if you will, at who is BlackRock anyway. BlackRock Incorporated is an American multinational investment company. It is the world's largest asset manager, and here's what's important: $9.4 trillion in assets. The question is, what kind of influence does BlackRock actually have over or with or in the government? Ladies and gentlemen, they have assets at $9.4 trillion. $9.4 trillion. Now, when we start talking about millions, billions, trillions, sometimes it can all run together, and it's difficult to put that into perspective. So let's just think for a moment. A billion is $1,000 million. That means that a trillion is $1,000 billion. And this is 9 of those. So again, to put that into perspective another way, this is the total GDP, gross domestic product, how much a country produces. The third largest GDP, 4.4 trillion. And then you got China at 17 trillion, you got the US at 26 trillion. But BlackRock's $9 trillion, that is double Germany's GDP. In one respect, you could say that BlackRock is the 3rd largest economy in the world. I mean, that is insane if you stop and think about it. So the question comes down to, will they get a Bitcoin ETF approved? Yes, they're large, but what does that ultimately matter? Well, let's look at some of the news stories that have been out. Right here, BlackRock, NASDAQ, SEC met regarding Bitcoin ETF. This is the second meeting in a month between the parties about rule changes required to list the Bitcoin ETF. Now, here's where we're going to start to see some distinction between what Coinbase is doing and what BlackRock is doing. Coinbase is a cryptocurrency exchange for retail investors, everyday people like you and I. So you want to buy Bitcoin, you use dollars, buy Bitcoin. You want to sell Bitcoin, you sell Bitcoin and buy Ethereum. You want to sell Ethereum, you sell Ethereum, and maybe you go back to dollars, right? You exchange from crypto to dollars and back and forth. It's essentially an on and off ramp. Now, there are a lot of people speculating that we get a Bitcoin ETF, it's going to be like amazing and it's just going to blow the price up and all sorts of stuff. But let's take a look at some of these rule changes because I think this is interesting. It's interesting to at least be aware of. So BlackRock's been meeting with the SEC. It says right here, representative from BlackRock, NASDAQ, and the Securities Exchange Commission met for a second time in a month to discuss rule changes that are necessary to list the Bitcoin exchange traded fund according to a published memo. Now, I think this drops clues. Is it a courtesy meeting or is anything actually getting resolved? We don't really know the answer to that, but I think they've met twice in a month. It's not like they're meeting once a year, twice a year. They've met twice in a month. To me, that feels like there's a little bit of urgency to get some things worked out. They are under a timeline because they're supposed to, the last day to be able to approve any of these Bitcoin ETFs is January 10th. Now that date again is a big clue to what may happen, but I'll tell you what I think is going to happen. And again, there's two dates I think we need to pay attention to. But first, what are they actually meeting with BlackRock about? This is the part that's interesting. Proposed rule change to list and trade shares of the iShares Bitcoin Trust under NASDAQ rule, blah, blah, blah. NASDAQ Rule 5711D establishes specific criteria, regulatory guidelines for the listing and trading of commodity-based trust shares on the NASDAQ exchange and detailing the requirements for initial and continued listing along with surveillance and compliance measures. Right here, this is a big one. Along with surveillance and compliance measures to ensure market integrity and protection against fraudulent activities. The inclusion of a surveillance sharing agreement aims to mitigate market manipulation risk associated with crypto trading. The group also met in November to discuss the same topic. At the November meeting, BlackRock provided a presentation that detailed two models, in-kind and in-cash redemption, supporting their proposed ETF. Now, my understanding is the SEC wants to make certain people are not able to redeem crypto. They want to make certain that it's cash in. Yes, you're buying an asset that is supposed to be tied to the spot price of Bitcoin, but when you sell, you cannot redeem crypto. You've got to be able to redeem cash back. And that's fine for the vast majority of people who would use it anyway. Most people are not going to redeem crypto. But that is very different than the SEC and Coinbase. That's the distinction. So when people say, hey, they're going to deny this Bitcoin ETF because look what they're doing to Coinbase. Look what they did to Binance. Look at all these lawsuits. They're basically playing games with BlackRock. They're ultimately going to deny this. So here's my answer. I absolutely think there will be a Bitcoin ETF. The question is what date? Now, let me give you a reason why I think there's going to be a Bitcoin ETF, and then we'll go look at a couple of dates. The reason that I think there's going to be a Bitcoin ETF, first and foremost, is because they want to keep the crypto economy in dollars. It actually does very little for the long-term use case of cryptocurrency. You can invest in the ETF if you think the price is going to go up. I would prefer to just buy crypto outright, hold it in a cold wallet, or be able to generate passive returns, which is what I do on this channel, but that's not what I'm going to be able to do with this ETF. But the ETF, basically, it does not serve as an on-ramp into crypto. I want that to be very, very clear. It is just taking dollars, going to a broker, buying an ETF. By the way, that means that when you take those dollars and you go to the broker is going to make money. When you buy into that ETF's going to earn fees. BlackRock's going to earn fees. This $9 trillion corporation is essentially finding a way to be able to capitalize on the cryptocurrency market. Period. End of story. See, I think this is sort of a sneaky attack on crypto, and people aren't talking about this. But if you understand that the whole idea behind crypto is to give you an alternative instrument outside of traditional finance. This is a net negative long term for the use case of crypto because it's a way to keep people inside, to keep other governments, for example, to say, hey, you know what? We'll buy a BlackRock ETF with our currency, and then we'll have exposure to the Bitcoin price without having to worry about buying Bitcoin and without having to worry about holding Bitcoin in a wallet. But it also means you're never able to exchange Bitcoin if there ever was an issue in the traditional fiat market, if you will. So I think this is a way to subvert the use case of Bitcoin potentially long term. But it doesn't matter. For you or me, the average investor, listen, we're not looking to create some sort of financial revolution. You and I aren't, the average person. We're looking to be able to find ways to be able to profit from this market at the end of the day and be able to increase the adoption if possible as well through helping educate people on what cryptocurrency is all about. Listen, I'm a cryptocurrency enthusiast. I'm not a financial expert. I've always said that on this channel, which, by the way, before I talk about the dates to pay attention to, yes, I do believe that there's going to be an ETF. I'll get to the dates, but when I talk about being a cryptocurrency enthusiast, one of the reasons I started this channel was because I wanted to do my part to help create awareness of cryptocurrency and what's out there and this technology. When I started this channel early on, I didn't know anything about YouTube, how to build a YouTube channel, and I want to give a quick shout out to someone, Brian G. Johnson. I just saw this video. If any of you are looking to be a YouTube creator ever, or any of you YouTube creators watching this channel, I encourage you to go watch Brian G. Johnson. This video here in particular was very, very fascinating and eye-opening in general. It talks about his journey as a creator, how he's kind of let his channel die, why. He's very honest about what it's like being a creator, sort of the roller coasters that you go through. And it's a great, great video. I commented down here and I said, hey, this has been one of the most badass videos I've ever seen. I've seen, Brian. When I first started and didn't even have 100 subs, your videos were some of the early videos that taught me about YouTube. Love the honest reflection. I'm in a totally different niche, but we'll be giving you a shout out in my next video, brother. Keep going. Let's go. Your best days are ahead. I'm rooting for you. Fascinating video that he did here. I encourage you to hop over on his channel and go check it out if you're a creator or you've ever thought about being a creator. With that being said, let's talk about what dates we need to be paying attention to for this Bitcoin ETF. I think it is inevitable. I think you will have a Bitcoin ETF. And let me give you one more reason on why I think we'll have a Bitcoin ETF. I pulled this from ChatGTP, and I was talking about what were some of the influences that BlackRock has had on the U.S. government, or what the U.S. government has used for BlackRock. This is from ChatGTP. It's talking about a private corporation having influence on U.S. government policy and decisions. BlackRock has built close relationships with government officials and administrations from both political parties. It doesn't say how. It doesn't say what BlackRock has done. All we know is they've created close relationships. This has enabled the company to influence policy decisions and financial regulations. That's the key right there, financial regulations, such as avoiding designation as a systemically important financial institution under the Dodd-Frank regulation. Do you see that? They were able to avoid being designated as a systemically important financial institution. Isn't that crazy? They're the third largest economy essentially in the world. I mean, that's just crazy to think about. I'll always say this. You have $9 trillion. There's only 100 senators in the U.S. How much would you have to spend on one senator just to get them to vote your way? I'm going to ask you directly as a viewer, like, how much money would it take if you were a senator for you to vote one way? There's a few of you that you're like, no, I don't have a price. But I don't think that most politicians have that character. I think some of them would toss a vote for $5,000 in political contributions, or 10 grand. What is it, 100 grand? Okay. Let's just say they're like, no, I need $1 million on that vote. Okay. They're worth $9 trillion. That's $9 million. You understand? Like, that's crazy. A trillion is 12 zeros, 9 and 12 zeros. $50 million is nothing for them to buy senators. Oh, what? They need 10 million each? That's nothing. But now they just need approval from the SEC and some of its commissioners. So what's that? How much would Gary Gensler cost? And I'm not trying to insinuate that anyone is actually being bought and paid for, but I think we can all agree that we know that that does in fact happen. They're just humans at the end of the day, right? Okay. There's enough money there. There's enough influence there. We can see that the SEC is pushing back against Coinbase. I'll let you decide what you think ultimately is going to happen there. But my belief as a creator on this channel is that we will 100% get a Bitcoin ETF. And I think there's plenty of reasons to back that up. If I am wrong, I will be shocked. So let's look at what are the possible dates. Big money firms are growing increasingly confident that the Securities and Exchange Commissions will make crypto history in early January by approving the first spot Bitcoin traded fund. Fox Business has learned. Sources close to these firms say recent guidance from the SEC official is that a green light will likely come by January 10th. This is the final deadline for the SEC to approve or deny an application from the firm to ask for the SEC's blessings for a spot Bitcoin ETF. What a weird way to write that, the SEC's blessings, or the SEC, that's weird. Anyway, let's see what day the 10th is. So the 10th is going to be down here on a Wednesday. That's the middle of the week. There are a lot of people saying this is the most likely date. I think this is the second most likely date. I think the date to pay attention to is going to be the 8th, January 8th. That is my first prediction, but if it's not the 8th, then it will be the last day. And the reason that a lot of people are saying it could be the 10th is the SEC notoriously has always acted on the last day of a deadline. So that's what a lot of people are saying. But with it being the middle of the week, I think they know this is going to make news. I know a lot of people in crypto are speculating that it's going to go up. I don't know if it's going to go up or down. My current investment strategy is I'm prepared for both. So either way, it doesn't matter too much to me. But I do believe that we're most likely to see that come out on January 8th, not the 10th. That is my personal opinion. Let me know down in the comments if you agree. Also, I will say this very quickly. It doesn't matter whether the price goes up or down. At the end of the day, it's about securing passive streams of income with crypto. That is my personal strategy. If you want to follow one of my strategies, you can go down below, follow my crypto trading journey. The strategy I'm using to earn $200 to $500 per month in passive crypto. Actually, it's higher than that now. I'm setting myself up to be able to earn over $1,000 in January. Those of you that are subscribed, stay tuned. I plan to put a video out about that as well. If you want to follow my journey, go down in the description. I'll make certain that I put a link there. To sum up, I do believe that we will get a Bitcoin ETF 100%. I believe we're going to get more than one. I think there's going to be at least two. I do not think all 12 will get approved. Most likely BlackRock and maybe someone like Fidelity, another large financial institution. The reason I think that it's going to happen is because at the end of the day, I think BlackRock has a lot to do with American politics. Period. End of story. They are invested in so many different corporations throughout the U.S. I think they just carry a significant amount of influence, and I think that we could be seeing. It's very possible we could see their influence at play right here. I don't know that. I mean, we've seen BlackRock be able to influence regulators in their favor in the past. Your thoughts? Let me know down in the comments. Thank you so much for watching, ladies and gentlemen. Crypto equals freedom. This is Crypto Wealth. I'm out.